yesterday you told me you like went from suit and tie corporate world to.
And that's you were doing that when we first met
when
at
you
that
first
convention,
tattooed me,
right?
yeah, I wasn't tattooing at all.
Okay,
yeah.
so that was per my wife, 2011, and that was at the.
It makes sense.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so now it's 13 years ago.
Yeah, because then I went to rehab in April of 2012.
Okay.
From a work trip, like from a Birmingham, Alabama meeting with Compass Bank to buy their shit to rehab like 24 hours later.
Wow.
Didn't even go back to work, just went straight to rehab.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So
just disappeared, but they weren't allowed to know because the HIPAA Act. So it worked out pretty cool. Yeah. It was like family emergency or like medical emergency.
Oh, okay.
And then the only lady that knew was our VP of HR or something like that. But
what kind of work was it that you were doing?
I was a debt buyer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a graduate degree in legal administration from DU Law School.
Okay.
And I used it to do that for about 5 years.
Okay.
And fucking hated it.
Really?
Like I played a lot of golf.
Yeah.
People I worked with were cool. I traveled a bunch.
Yeah.
But it was just like, how much money can you make and how fast can you make it? It's kind of soul sucking.
Yeah.
Were
you good at it?
Yeah, I was. I worked my way up from the bottom to, there's 250 people in the company. There's 5 of us that bought the debt. I was one of the 5.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which was fun.
And you were pretty heavily tattooed then? Yeah?
Yeah, like
you got your
like
chest
my torso,
tattooed.
Yeah, like this was all done. My back was done. I got this when I was 18 from here.
Okay.
But when I would play golf with clients, I would wear a compression sleeve.
Oh, okay.
And my boss was real like forward thinking and cool.
That's cool.
Like, man, like you don't have to hide your tattoos.
Yeah.
Like, well, you might not care, but that 60-year-old man from Iowa, from Wells Fargo,
he
does. And I don't want to give him an advantage.
He will pitchfork me to death.
Yeah. And I understand that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, someone walks in here with a big old tattoo on their throat. Like, I don't judge them, but I know
you're a little scared.
Like, yeah, right. Like that. Don't fucking watch out for that. He's got a knife somewhere. Yeah, yeah. Like or like the dynamic color guy that walked in. Like, all right, maybe your dad should have hugged you more.
Or is your dad Predator?
Yeah, your dad might be. Your dad might be Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was wild.
I've never seen somebody that modified in person.
Really?
Yeah, he did. That was I don't know. There's some misfiring happening in those synapses.
So where did that transition go? I mean, obviously you said it's just soul sucking. Did tattooing just kind of start trickling in your mind that maybe it was something that you wanted to do?
So I wanted to do it when I was a kid.
Okay.
I drew tattoo related things. I did AP art in high school, and then I started undergrad as an art major. And after one semester, realized that it was too hard to party and do art homework.
Oh yeah.
Because you can half-ass your way through a test. You can cram the night before. Like you can bullshit your way through it. Art homework, you had to show up with. You had to make something.
Yeah.
And if I was trying to do a bunch of blow and drink, like I couldn't make something. Like, this is hard.
Right.
So I stopped doing that. Got a history degree instead because that was easy to
You
cheat
could at least
your way
pass
through.
the test.
Yeah. But you could I could read a book. Like you'd go to class and they'd tell you a story, and 3 weeks later you write the story down.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. But I was doing art, and then I stopped for like 10 years. But I still was getting tattooed. Like I still liked tattoos. Still, one day I told my parents when I was 14 that I was gonna be covered in tattoos one day.
Yeah.
They told me I'd outgrow it. That didn't happen. Sorry, Mom. But so then it always kind of been in the back of my mind, but I did what I thought I was supposed to do.
Right.
And when I went to rehab, I started drawing again. Like I had the fog had cleared from my brain because I was under the influence of something for 14 years.
Wow.
So it definitely like started and I always drew tattoo things, like even just doodling. Like it was traditional tattoo imagery, like anchors and roses, daggers.
How much time were you in rehab?
26 days. Like I said, because the 26th day fell on a Friday. So they let me out so that I could have the weekend to get ready because I had to go back to my old job. Like I still had the job.
Oh.
So I had to go back there on Monday. But I moved straight from rehab into my mom and dad's basement, which was humbling, but also kind of fun because I got to like hang out with my parents as an adult, which was
It's almost
my
like
dad's pretty
a,
fucking
it's almost
cool.
like
My
a
mom's
starting
awesome.
over kind of in a way, almost putting you back into like this
like just
childhood. Like now you get to kind of start over. I'm
Yeah,
assuming,
like let's redo this without drugs and alcohol involved, which is cool. I got to spend some like quality time with both my parents and like get to know them instead of.
That's
I mean,
cool.
they knew from the time I was 14 that I had a problem, and they tried to fight it like right around like 16, 17, 18.
Sure.
But I was always like, I achieved things. So
Yeah.
it did like, I found out later in life, my dad wanted to kick me out, but my mom wouldn't let him. This is a conversation I was unaware of at the time.
Yeah.
But I was just a maniac. Like every time they tried to make me do drug testing or therapy or anything like that, I would fight it and fight it and fight it. But I did, like I said, I kept achieving things. So it was like, well, you can't stop me. Like I graduated high school, I graduated college, I graduated graduate school. Like to the outside world, I was accomplishing tasks.
You were doing
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, making stuff happen. So what's the right? Like, well, you're successful. So
Yeah, by
we
like the
probably don't have anything to worry about. He's probably
it'll be
fine.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just
All,
lost.
other than the fact that I wanted to eat like an entire bottle of pills and just like make it all stop.
Right.
I just lost a really good friend, probably from alcoholism, and same thing, dude. Like he was the most intelligent person I'd ever met, and just so smart, and by all outward things, he was just
All
doing
outside
great
metrics,
and
he was
had his shit
crushing it.
figured out, and clearly he was smart, but he was just hiding.
Yeah.
And that's what sucked, you know. It's like, dude, you didn't have to hide.
There's like the way the brain works, man.
Yeah.
Like that same part of his brain that made him attack everything and look successful and accomplish things is that same part of his brain that's like, oh, I like this. I need to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I need to do it till it burns it to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the brain's a fucking trip, because then some people are just born without it, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like, what? I thought everyone was obsessive about something, but
Yeah.
some people just real. And the more, I think the longer the human race exists, the more we realize it is just like genetics play a huge part in it.
It is. It's huge, and I've learned a lot about that too. Like when they say alcoholism or whatever runs in our family, that's actually like a biological thing.
Yeah, it's like red hair, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like, well, when you're born, you're going to automatically become a whatever.
Yeah.
It's that when you're born, this is still in your DNA. It's part of your DNA, but then maybe something in life happens where you experience that. Yeah. And then you're like, oh.
Like, it's like you're born with the fuse and something lights it on fire.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And so then it's
I
just
think
like,
about that all the time with my kids, because I have that fuse, and so does my wife, and so does her family, and so does my family. Like,
but
did
then
I
if you
just
could
make
be,
two fucking future drug addicts of America?
I think
Hopefully
as long
not.
as, I think, you know, because with me, like, I want to have the talk with even my kids, two of which are adults, and our third youngest, who's pretty much an adult. It's like, hey, I've got these dispositions, these run in my family. It's very clear, which means it's probably in you guys. So just be on alert. Watch out for this stuff.
We're going to talk about it a bunch. It was never really, until it became a problem, it was never really talked about, which I think will help too. Like, I grew up, my dad never drank. Like, I think I saw him drunk maybe twice my entire life. And there were celebrations. They weren't like negative things.
Yeah.
But he never really, like, it was never really talked about.
Sure.
And so I became curious about it.
Yeah.
So I think as long as, like, we'll talk to our kids about it a lot. Like, this is a possibility. Like, this is, and like, it's so celebrated in American culture. Like, it's awesome, dude. Every Budweiser commercial looks kick ass. That's super cool. Until you like piss yourself and ruin relationships. You're like, that's pretty awesome, dude. Like, was it, dude? Like, I mean, it was fun for a while, but like, there's other ways to have a pretty kick-ass time.
Sure.
That's super cool too. I feel like getting it out on the table. Also, like, if you, for example, if your kid was in that position that you were in, you guys have talked about it, maybe they would feel more comfortable coming up to you and being like, hey, this is what's going on. Versus like, I'll deal with it myself. I'll figure it out.
Well, no, like, if I was going to talk to my parents about it, there was consequence on the other side of it. There'll be no consequences at our house for that kind of conversation. Like, sure, like, you might have to chill out for a little bit, but we're gonna
figure it out.
They won't be afraid to bring it up. That's
cool. That is good.
I think me and my wife have talked about that a bunch. Like, we're gonna be open about it, because I'd also much rather have them like, all right, hey dad, I'm kind of fucked up, can you come get me? Which my dad was always pretty cool about that. Like, he had to pick me up out of gutters and shit all over the metro area. But he wouldn't say anything then. We'd talk about it the next morning. Or one time he woke me up at like 6:30 in the morning and made me go to Home Depot with him, which wasn't terrible. But when we were leaving, the hot dog cart was open. And it was like 7:30 in the morning, and super hungover cheddar bratwurst at 7:30 in the morning are not what you want. And he made me eat two of them just sitting at this shitty wood picnic table outside of Home Depot, just like, this is awful. Yeah, And he knew it. Like he lived up shit. Everyone within 20 feet of us knew it because you could just smell me.
Jeez.
I think I was 17.
Oh my gosh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least you got it out of your system early.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
40 for 2 more weeks.
Oh, right on.
Or maybe 3 more weeks.
Okay.
January 3rd, I turned 41.
Right on.
Which feels like 41 feels so much older than 40. Like 40 was kind of fun. It was like now everyone has to listen to what I say. Like, I'm fucking 40. Like this is.
Yeah. Well,
this
to
is
some
it.
people, like your kids, you are so fucking old.
Dude, so well, and so at Marion Street shop that I spent the first 12 years of my career at, we were right next to a high school, like within 150 feet of Denver East High School.
Wow.
So twice a day they had open campus lunch, and 400 high schoolers would walk by this way and then walk by this way.
Oh wow.
And for a big chunk of that, I smoked cigarettes, so I'd smoke out front.
Yeah.
And they'd walk by, and I always kind of thought like I was like the cool guy that worked at the tattoo shop, but to them, I looked like their fucking dad. Like, I looked old, but I didn't think I didn't feel old. I didn't look old. Like I'm hip and cool. Like, no, dude, you're a dad.
Yeah.
You look like a dad to everybody. Like, there's nothing, like there's that weird epiphany too, where I always assumed I was younger than everybody else. But there's a point where like, no, every room I'm in, except for till I built this place and filled it with a bunch of old dudes, I was the oldest person there, despite feeling like I dress young. I get to dress however I want. Like I wear the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Like look like a child in a man's body though. Like just. Yeah, that was a weird epiphany to have.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm embracing it, man. Like even in my tattoos, like that tattoo that he did, the little Queen of Hearts.
Yeah,
I will straight up admit I can't do that shit anymore. It will look bad.
I think that's a natural progression. Like some of my favorite tattooers, like we're all gonna get old. There's a shelf life to this.
Yeah,
and you watch them. Like they know too. They're looking at the tattoo. Like we all know, they've looked at tattoos for 30 years.
Right.
They know that they used to tattoo way better than that.
Yeah.
You just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, it's like you're just flying a plane in the side of a mountain. You tattoo till you can't anymore.
Yep. Right.
Because there's no backup plan. There's a few tattooers that thought it through a little more calculated and built themselves empires, but that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to.
I do think it would be cool to do things like, I don't know, develop a thing where, like, who knows what happens? I go blind. Okay. Well, there's my contribution still rolling some way, some way over this.
Yeah.
But then that just takes like a whole level of mental creativity that you've got to, I don't always have either. Like, I don't know what to do. And make a coloring book maybe.
Even then, like it's because there's so many. Elder tattooers are all trying to do it. Like I feel like for me, I always thought the natural progression was to move into machines. But so many dudes do machines now.
Everybody does. And I think it's like tattooing, it's like probably only half of those people should be doing it. The rest are just doing it because they can, and which is frustrating. So so you went back to the corporate job?
Yeah, I had to go back so I got out April 4th, or like April 30th, 2012. And one of the first places I went was a tattoo shop because I had missed an appointment while I was in rehab.
Yeah.
And my sister went and told Ryan Willard, who taught me how to tattoo, or ended up teaching me how to tattoo.
Yeah, go for it.
Here comes my family.
Oh, cool.
Later, dude.
You missed an appointment?
Yeah. So I went to the tattoo shop to talk to him. My sister had gone and talked to him while I was in there to let him know, and then she ended up getting tattooed by him. But the whole time I was in rehab, sketching and stuff, everyone, like, you get to know people really well in rehab because you just share everything about everything. And everyone was like, well, what do you like? You should tattoo, because all my drawings were tattoo related. This is what I sketched, and I was like, I don't know. I thought about doing it when I was younger, but didn't really fully commit to it. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, maybe I could do this. So I went to the tattoo shop and asked Ryan if he would teach me how to tattoo. And he knew me at that point. He'd been tattooing me for a couple of years. Like he'd done my back. At that point, most of my chest was done. I think I had like 1 or 2 sessions left on my chest. So he had gotten to know me pretty well. Like he knew all about everything like you do a tattooer after a 2-year relationship. Like you share everything with him.
Yep.
So he knew me quite well, and he was like, "Are you going to trade everything in on your resume to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to." He was like, "Well, just start hanging out, see if it's something you even really want to do."
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, I was still kind of working my way through my corporate job. And I showed up and met with one of my mentors there and my boss. And they were like, "Well, what do you even really want to do?" Because we had been talking about moving my role because the company was shifting gears. We're coming out of the tail end now of like the 2008 recession. Like everybody hated banks.
Oh, sure.
So banks would sell us their debt. Well, all that bad market or bad publicity, they ended up keeping their own debt. So our company was struggling. We also would resell the debt. We'd buy it, had 38 law firms try to collect it. And then we would, throughout that process, we'd constantly grade it and score it and figure it out, and we'd resell a bunch of it.
Okay.
I was involved in the resale, a lot of it too.
Huh.
We stopped selling it because the further it got down the chain, the more it got harder to get. So we just kind of started keeping it all in house. So they were going to move me somewhere in the company. They didn't really know where. So instead of doing that, then my boss was like, "Why don't you just go find something, like do what you want to do?" So they gave me a kind of a severance package.
Nice.
They let me keep my health insurance for 3 months, which was huge.
That is huge.
Health insurance also paid for my entire rehab stay. So it was almost like the universe was, because I had reached a point where it was either fucking, like I said, eat a whole bottle of pills or get sober.
Yeah.
I didn't care what it cost. And it ends up costing about the same price as like a brand new Honda Accord. This shit is not cheap. But the insurance covered 100% of it, which was fucking insane. Huge.
Yeah.
So they gave me 3 months health insurance. They paid me for the rest of that month, which it was almost 4 weeks, and then told me they wouldn't deny my unemployment claim, which was huge because we're still at the tail end of Obama's extended unemployment. So it was unemployment used to be like 3 months. Well, through that you could get like 12 months of unemployment. So when I went full into my apprenticeship, like when I left that job and went and was like, I'm going to show up every day.
Yeah.
I didn't have to, I got $600 a week unemployment for a year.
Wow.
So I was at the tattoo shop every day but Sunday, all day.
Wow.
Which was huge. Yeah.
So that probably helped you kind of accelerate the learning.
Well, and I needed it too because I hadn't even used, like my art was dead. I hadn't done shit for 10 years. But I think that also gave me what turned into a long-term advantage because when I drew and got into it, I only drew tattoo stuff. Like a lot of people come in here with like an art background or some kind of different background, maybe bad habits, or I only drew tattoo stuff. That was it. And I started with Sailor Jerry, worked my way through all the Burt Grimms and the Sailor Verns of the world, and studied their shit, and then found tattooers who I liked, and just like Aaron Coleman was a big one out of Mesa, who I just got all of his books and just lived in those books. Like if I was drawing something, it was referenced from those books enough that I could draw a panther now that looks similar to an Aaron Coleman panther because I just studied that. That's the only art I studied or drew or created. I didn't paint oil or anything like that. It was just tattoo shit for my entire career at this point. Like even still, if I paint something, it's gonna be tattooey. Because that's all I did. And I think it wasn't intentional, but it's definitely how it, because I needed to learn how to draw again. Might as well focus it on what I'm gonna have to draw anyway. Which was pretty cool. But also I think creates like if I want to stretch any kind of creative muscle, it's still gonna be tattooey. Like if I try to do something else, like it's still gonna look like a tattooer did it. Which that leads to the conversation. I think a lot of people are like, are you a tattooer or are you a tattoo artist? I'm a tattooer through and through because that's all I've done. Like everything's been aimed at turning it into a tattoo at some point.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Like I'm definitely not. I'm a craftsman, not an artist. I'm just copying shit people did before me already.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's got my own spin on it now. I've done it long enough that you draw a snake 600 times, you can just draw a snake. That's gonna look like a lot of other guys' snakes. But I think that's what they should look like. That's what tattoos should look like.
Right.
Yeah. So
no need to reinvent the wheel.
I think too many people try to do that, and I tried in the beginning. You look at stuff and be like, oh, I can do it. Like, why? That's like Walter McDonald, who owns Lifetime Tattoo. One of his famous quotes is like, "Why would you draw a clipper ship when Sailor Jerry's done it for you?" Like it's like the best. You ain't gonna do it better. If you think you can do it better than Sailor Jerry, you should quit tattooing because he did it the best. Like that's what a fucking clipper ship should look like.
Yeah.
Like that's true.
Huh. That's cool.
Like there's certain things you can like, and I'm definitely like there's a line. Like there's people that have that opinion, and there's people that are like, no, like you can make it your own and do all that, and like there's room for everybody.
Agreed.
But I'm definitely on that side of like, I don't do it like there's guys that are 100% that definitely just I call that like almost an amplified version of traditional, like super traditional, where it looks like it's from 1952,
right?
Like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I definitely like a modern interpretation of it, but still based in the same fundamentals. And if I have to draw a clipper ship or a sparrow or something like that, I'm not gonna reinvent it. Like Jerry's got a whole sheet of sparrows that crush any sparrow I could draw after 12 years of trying. They're perfect. Why? Dude, he did it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna color it a little differently.
Right.
I'm gonna execute it a little differently, but the fundamentals right there.
That's real interesting.
What did your apprenticeship look like?
It was 35 months.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yep. Beginning. So I started in May of 2012. Wasn't allowed to touch a tattoo machine until the first tattoo I ever did, which was December 21st of 2012. Ryan Willard apprenticed me at Marion Street, which was where I stayed until I opened Golden Pony. I was there the whole time.
Yeah, that's cool.
So he had us draw little 2x2 designs. Me and this other kid, Brandon Huckabee, who owns Copperhead Tattoo in Rhino, downtown in Denver.
Okay.
We were together for 6 years. We started right around the same time. Ryan had never had an apprentice. I started in May. Brandon showed up in like October, but Brandon had been an art teacher for like 6 years or something like that, maybe 8 years, a while. So he had an art background. And Ryan told me like he'll probably tattoo before you because he's already got he can draw. And he was always like a motherfucker could do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like he could always like just every night he'd paint a portrait like real quick and rough. Like and he was real creative. He'd paint it. He'd go buy a bunch of old books at thrift shops and then paint whole ass portraits on them just at night. He tried to do it in like 45 minutes. He was great.
Gosh.
But our first tattoos, we had to draw 2-inch by 2-inch designs. I think we had like first homework was like 50 of them or something like that. Yeah, it was a lot. Well, we also had to draw. We can get into that too. First homework, but we had to narrow it down to 4 that we really liked that we would get tattooed on us. And we were we'd always communicate with each other. Like, I wonder what this is. Like, why do we have to do this? Like, what is this? What are we learning here? And
was it a sign? Was it like, other than 50? Was it like anything that you wanted to draw?
Yeah, anything that you would be willing to get tattooed on yourself. Okay. That was and then just narrow it. And then once you narrowed it down, make it better.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to tattoo, like, so it was Ryan and then this girl, Jess Tanner. That was the only 2 of them in the shop.
Okay.
And I thought they were going to tattoo it on us, like, be willing to wear your own art.
Oh, okay.
Well, then the day of the shop Christmas party, so December 21st, like 2 p.m, Ryan was like, hey, Brandon, go lock the front door. She's like, all right, cool. This is going to get weird. Like, should I take my pants off? Like, this is going to be fun.
What's
rule number 1, Jesse? I can't hear me. Close the door is always the first rule. And then they told us, we came back like, all right, cool. We're going to give you guys tattoos as Christmas presents, but the catch is you have to tattoo each other. And we'd never even touched a tattoo machine.
No.
Well, that was what we thought. We found out later that Brandon had like bought his own machine and had tattooed a couple people, but I had definitely never even held a tattoo machine.
So you weren't even setting up and tearing down?
Not yet, no, because we were like, 6 months in?
Yeah.
So it was still like clean the shop,
okay,
answer the phone, and it started slow because it was like hang out, see if it's even something you want to do.
Yeah.
So it was legit just kind of like sitting there drawing, like on the couch or like back in the back room there was a drawing table. And then it would be like, hey, like if you want to sweep, that broom's over there. All right, cool. So start sweeping, and then like the phone would ring, and like you can answer that if you want. And it was like, and this was over a few weeks, like a slow burn, but I was still there every single day.
Sure.
And then eventually it was like you were there every day. So then homework assignments started. Before the draw of what you wanted to get tattooed, it was draw 50 butterflies, fully rendered and colored, overnight too. So that was a shitload of fucking butterflies.
Wow.
And then I had to do 50 daisies. And I bring in I have this sketchbook that's one of those bigger sketchbooks, like just page after page, fully colored with colored pencil. Ryan takes it and goes straight over the computer and just types in daisy tattoo. And the third one is like my 5th one that I just fucking copied. And he just let me have it. Like, I was like, all right, cool. But now after 12 years, like, fucking, you need to copy something. Everything's fucking copied anyway, dude.
Yeah.
Like I remember when like Trace Masters was the thing, and everybody was
Yes.
like, "Yeah, don't trace the tattoo," but
Right.
you find some fucking art out there. Like if you like, there's a Tattoo Origins Instagram account, which most of Jerry's shit came from Disney. Like you can see it, like his like that old Marine, bulldog with like the lightning bolts on the glove. That's a Disney design. Like all of it's Disney shit. Or old catalogs. Like, and it wasn't look at it, draw it. It was like put tracing paper on it. And there it is.
Yeah.
It's like there was, because they were tattooers. They weren't tattoo artists. They weren't out there trying to reinvent the wheel. They were like, got to make it quick and fast, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so homework, that was what now, but I still hadn't touched the machine until then. So then I learned how to set up a machine, setting it up to tattoo Brandon, and then Brandon tattooed me. We flipped a coin to see who was going to go first. I got tattooed first. He definitely was better at it. Like at one point, like Ryan and Jess had gloves on. They were right there with us. You got to feel like I tattooed a shark on him that he had drawn, and then he tattooed a broken whiskey bottle with like 2012 on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was sweet. And like at one point, the machine was sideways. Like I didn't know what the fuck. Like Jess like freaked out. She was like, no, and like stopped it because it was about to just go in at a 90-degree angle to his leg. It would have been terrible. But yeah, you get ready to do it, and you're just like, all right, cool, I got this, dude. Like, And then after that, we quickly turned into setting up and breaking down every single day.
Okay.
I sat on a bar stool behind Ryan with the phone and watched him tattoo. He would do, at that point, a noon and a 4 every day. And I watched him all day. Like, then I would always try to, like, he has an apprentice right now named Eli, and I would tell him to do that every day, and he never did. And I watched his hands for months and months and months. If I wasn't painting or doing something, like, which most days I would just watch him, I'd paint at home at night. Yeah. Until I think it was like April of 2013, we started being able to tattoo. We each got to find one person that we could tattoo for free.
Oh, cool.
So Brandon had this kid, Chris, from the coffee shop next door that he just covered in tattoos. Then I had my friend Matt, who I did like 6 or 8 on his thigh. And he would come in about once a week. Which was, after all this time, the best way to learn is just time in the saddle. You have to start tattooing. And if you're doing 1 tattoo a week, it's not enough. You gotta do a lot. So then I started being able to tattoo my family. So I tattooed my sister a bunch. Like I think she got my 4th tattoo and my 7th tattoo and my 12th tattoo. My dad was really involved too. I tattooed my dad a bunch, which was super kick-ass. Still, I tattooed him last week.
No way. Awesome. That is cool.
But the first one I did on him was like a dancing Hobbs. So I didn't have to draw it. Again, just traced it, drew it like that guy drew it Bill Watterson drew it way better than I did. So it's right on the back of his calf. Cool. And I think it was tattoo like 25 that I felt like I finally was like, oh shit, this might work.
Oh, okay.
Because that shit's super hard, dude. Like, it's still hard.
Right.
Yeah, and at one point too, I couldn't get rid of the shakes. Like I don't know what it was, just like nerves or what. And Ryan and me sat down, and he was like, "Dude, I don't know." He's like, "I can't teach the shakes out of you." He's like, "You might need to go to the suburbs and just fuck people up for like a year and then come back." Which is funny because now I'm in the suburbs. Like it took 12 years to get here, but I'm not fucking anybody up yet.
Was that because like the environment, like it was
I don't
know.
Like he just couldn't. Like I don't know why I couldn't. But eventually something clicked.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, the balance or. But suddenly, I mean, it's not like my line work got great, but it got better. Yeah. Because there was even one tattoo I did on my sister-in-law on her back shoulder. So she couldn't see anything. She was laying face down, and it was a dream catcher turning into birds. I just like everybody got in 2013. Yeah. And I was like, I just couldn't get the lines to go, and it was just an absolute disaster. But she couldn't tell. She didn't know. All she heard was a tattoo machine, and there was stretching and shit happening back here, but it just wasn't fucking working. And Ryan showed up right here, and he like got down and he whispered like, dude, what the fuck's going on? And I was just like, dude, I can't fucking. And like he just fucking swooped in. He was like, hey, I'm just gonna show him a couple things, and just fucking tattooed it. Just fixed it, which was cool. So then she didn't like, because I see that tattoo last weekend. You know, like she's my sister-in-law. I see her all the time. And he definitely fixed it. And then we had a pretty stern talking to of like, are you gonna fucking figure this shit out, or like, do you need to go suburbs and fuck people up again? And we had a few of those conversations. In my, like, it wasn't what I would consider, or I think many like older tattooers might consider like a traditional apprenticeship, where there's like a little bit of hazing. Like he actually like treated me better than most people, I think. Like but there was, when he needed to get stern, he got stern. Like there was one particular instance I remember, and I don't remember why, which is kind of funny. I wish I did. But we sat on those same bar stools that I sat behind and watched him. while he tattooed a girl, and he just for about 45 minutes just ripped me and Brandon a new asshole, and I don't remember what for. I'm sure we learned from it because it wasn't fun, but it was probably something to do with just like almost shop etiquette, because that was also a huge part of it. Like how do you, I think it's important, like how do you behave in a tattoo shop? Like how do you interact with clients? How do you interact with, like as a tattooer, how do you interact with other tattooers' clients? Like all that kind of, like there's so much more that goes into it.
Agreed. And
I think a lot of people forget that. And he always approached it with like a shop first mentality, which I think is the right way to do it, because then it makes it a little easier to interact with other people's clients. Like we tattooed each other's clients all the time. Like as long as they got tattooed at Marion Street, that's all that mattered.
Got it.
Because then they would tell friends, and then I think that creates a longevity to the shop. I talked about this. Jake shares this opinion. Like, it used to be a time where you just learned how to tattoo and you hoped one day you could get into a good shop, because you would then be busy. Because people would go to that shop based on its name. Well, Marion Street became that. Like 30 people came and went. Didn't matter who was tattooing there. They just knew that Marion Street was good. So it was like it became replaceable, and that stemmed from his, like how he thought you should all interact with each other, like the conversations you should have with each other about clients, and make sure you respect your like tattooer coworkers and be like, hey, I know you've tattooed this guy, but he reached out to me. He wants to get tattooed. Is that cool?
Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning, in fact.
Yeah, and it's usually always cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, as long as you do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, but if my client comes in, I'm like, what's up, man? And he's like, oh yeah, and he goes and gets tattooed by you, and there was no conversation with me beforehand. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be pretty fucking pissed.
Right.
But that's, and there might be some people that not. I think if you have that conversation ahead of time too, like in here, me and Jesse have had it. We haven't necessarily had time to have it with everybody else, but as long as, like, especially if you can keep the same core group for a long time, like who gives a shit who gets tattooed by who? And as long as that conversation's been had almost not every single time, you could have a real serious conversation once and be like, dude, if they get tattooed here, like, cool. Like, it doesn't matter like who does it. Like if they're here hanging out with a friend and I've tattooed them before, but they're not getting tattooed today, and you can talk them into getting tattooed, sweet, do it. But that gets, I think if you keep your group small, it makes it a little easier. I think in larger shops, like that's why we have 4 of us here, and I only ever want 4, maybe 5, but even then I'm just like, it's a whole nother personality in this tiny box.
I
think a lot of shops do it for the wrong reasons. They're like, we should get like 9 people in this money. Like, I can make so much money. Like, why? Like, even 7's too many.
That's I think that's a good point. For me, it's kind of like a twofold thing. Well, not really twofold, but anytime somebody comes, are you taking on any apprentices? My first thing is, well, what's your why? Your why has to be strong enough to be able to withstand sitting on the bar stool for however long, not doing anything, not even touching a machine, because your why is like strong enough. And then and I think this is like a topic that we'll discuss eventually on the podcast, is like, what's like the difference between being an artist in a shop versus owning a shop. And I think and not only is somebody starting a shop and let's fill it to the brim just so I can make money. Like, I've been in that situation. I'm like, dude, I'm literally lining your pockets. You are overcharging booth rent. You don't need $10,000 a month. I'm sorry. Like,
dude, I was percentage for 80% of my career.
Yeah.
I think a lot of tattoo shop owners benefit from the fact that a lot of tattooers don't pay attention to that shit. They're just like, I worked across from a dude that never wrote anything down. He had no clue how much money he made every month. He just had cash in his pockets and could pay his bills and was cool with it.
Well, and I think too, so a reason why I wanted to open a shop is because I know what it's like to be an artist paying out so much money to an owner who really sometimes doesn't even give a shit about you.
Yeah, you're replaceable as a motherfucker.
Yeah. And if they're like, well, the reason we charge you this much money per month, it's just because what the business needs. And then whenever you leave and they don't fill your spot for like 3 months, you're like, well, that was a lie.
Yeah.
Because you're without that money. But I remember being an artist in that position. So I'm like, it is possible to run a shop and put money in your guys' pockets. But then also it's just like, and then I want to treat clients like gold.
Yeah.
And the client in my opinion, and at least in our shop, it's like they're the most important person in this transaction. And you know, they don't always get it their way or whatever, but without them, we're
just a bunch of assholes hanging out in a room.
We can't do anything.
Yeah.
So treat them like gold, and then, you know, try to just treat your guys well.
You can do. I tattooed a guy recently.
Yeah.
It's a construction superintendent. He got hired to move a bowling alley from like fucking Kentucky to Illinois, some shit like that. Drive there with 3 trailers, take the bowling alley completely apart, all the lanes, all the pin setters, everything.
Yeah.
Put them on the trucks, bring them here to the guy who won it in an auction, and build it in a building for him. He said there's an 1.5 hour long YouTube video about how to take a bowling lane apart.
Shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's fuck anything you want.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, how do we feel about that? Like, does it take away that a little bit of that relationship building, maybe, or is it perhaps you just kind of just showed up like an alien from outer space, like, I'm here to tattoo, instead of like, wait, what the YouTube video will never teach you is tattoo ethics. Yeah.
Which, like, there's college courses on business ethics. Like, it's a fucking thing.
Yeah.
When these kids show up, you might be an incredible tattooer with a great, like, you're 22 years old and you can tattoo circles around fucking Jeff Gogwe. Who fucking cares?
Right.
But you walk into a tattoo shop and you act like a complete asshole.
Yeah.
With no regard for the guy that made tattooing cool.
Yeah.
Tattooing wasn't, everyone didn't get tattooed 20 years ago.
Right.
Now they do. Because people like that put the time in. And you walk in and you're just like, hey, can you move out of the way so I can use this station?
Yeah.
Suck my dick, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Do you
what
know?
matters.
Do you know what happens when the next walk-in comes in?
Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah.
No. But also, they don't need to. Not respect-wise they have to, but they don't need walk-ins.
Right.
Because they've all come up in a time when the death of the walk-in has happened. Sure, there's pockets in America where walk-ins are rampant because they're on a beach next to an Air Force base and the 18-year-olds never stop.
Yeah. Right.
But for the most part, the walk-in has died because COVID, in a big chunk of America, made it same day appointments. Call ahead. You got capacity issues. Can't have 10 people in here coughing on each other. Keep it slim. So then they would call ahead. And then at that point, like, if I got to make an appointment, I'll find who I want to get tattooed by.
Sure.
And we do that with everything, not just tattoos. I don't go out to eat without looking on the internet first. I'm sure you don't.
Yeah, true.
If even if I know where I'm going because someone told me, like, I didn't get to pick, they're like, hey, we're going here. I'm gonna look at the menu before I get there.
Yeah.
And if I want to eat something, I don't go to the diner like I used to that has fucking spaghetti and cheeseburgers and tacos. They have it all.
Yeah.
Just says diner. If I want a tattoo, I find the person that does the tattoo I want.
Yeah.
Which your generation, Jake's generation, Greg's generation, Ryan's generation. If you got tattooed, you went to the place, said tattoo above it.
Sure. Yeah.
You didn't ask any questions. Said tattoo, they got to be good in there. You didn't really give a shit if they were good. You didn't look at portfolios for line quality. You looked at portfolios because they had wizards smoking bongs and they were sick. Like, so you're like, give me one of those.
Yeah.
You didn't want, like, it was ideas. That's all you were looking for.
Right.
Well, now the consumer's way more informed via television, via just the information age. They know way more, and they can use their supercomputer to pick what they want. So that's why, like, a lot of the older tattooers get grumpy and like, man, like, you used to have to be able to do whatever came in the door. Like, sure, you don't anymore.
Yeah.
If you want to do stupid stick figures, people that want stupid stick figures can find you, and you can get busy enough that all you do is stupid stick figures.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand that, these children tattooers are going to motor past us, and you're going to get ran the fuck over. You're going to have to be an Amazon delivery driver.
Yeah.
Unless you decide, like, I'm going to do a couple of things, because they're going to figure it out, and they are figuring it out.
Yeah.
There's a kid who tattoos in Golden. I don't even know his real fucking name. His Instagram, City Scum, you piece of shit, who talks shit about old tattooers and tattoos fucking Garfield every single day with 38,000 Instagram followers, because he figured out that if I just go real heavy on this fucking shtick, people will find me that want the shtick and keep me busy enough.
Interesting.
And that's just the example of, like, that's all you need to do nowadays. And we have to adjust to that, I think.
What do you think that looks like? Because I was talking to Drew last night about, you know, the day and age where there was too much work you could work any day you wanted. If you wanted to work an extra day to make extra money, you could.
Yeah.
And that got so crazy where it's like, okay, how do I narrow this down to maybe more of like what I prefer or what I'm good at? But then maybe now we're at this place where it's like this, and we need to kind of come back to this, where it's like, okay, I'll throw in an infinity symbol again, you know, or whatever, along with these things, just to kind of start ramping back up, because you never know if that, you know, whatever tattoo.
At this point, you can almost like hope for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, because then you know you'll be consistently busy.
Right.
And I still do that stuff, but I don't market it. I don't put it on my forward-facing internet pages.
Sure.
All the different ways you can find me, and it's not just. I mean, Instagram is what helped tattooing get a leg up to where it is now. But now there's 50 different places you can put your shit: the TikToks and the Facebooks and the Googles and the Yelps and all the shit where you can algorithm your way to the top. I just don't put it out there. I still do it. And every once in a while you get a question like, I know you like mostly do like traditional tattoos, but can you do this? Like, because my tattooing has foundations in traditional tattooing, which can translate to anything. Sure. I don't do portraits, but I can do the infinity symbols. I can do all the shit. And I'll happily do it, and you'll have a great time while I do it. I just won't show the world.
Right.
Because I know that if I want to continue to stay busy, I have to do it that way. But maybe one day, I think our best opportunity to return to a world like that is to create something like this. And my reference or idea is there was a place in town called Gunther Tootie's. It was a diner. You went there and it was like going back in time. You'd walk in there and you felt like you were in the 50s, and they had fucking heavy makeup on and shitloads of buttons and a jukebox that didn't exist anywhere else. But when you went in there, you were like, yeah, we're in the 50s. If you can create a place like this where you come in and you still like, oh, this is what a tattoo shop was probably like in 1996. Like, cool. And then maybe that's where the people go that want the infinity knots and the shit that they can't go to the kid who only does Garfield tattoos for.
Sure.
But we got you.
Like
we got a flash sheet with it on here, like somewhere that's got birds and shit on it. We'll do whatever you want. You want your kid's name that they wrote? Cool. I got it.
Right.
Garfield won't do it, but at least and maybe the internet still thinks that all I do is panthers and tigers and roses and daggers.
Sure.
But I'll do all that shit.
Yeah.
And should we market that? I don't know. Does that put us behind if we market that? I don't know.
I think for me, we're like, what I'm seeing today is like, to me, this is still new. Like, it's like, okay, something's going on.
Oh yeah.
Like, and
we're at the beginning stages of what is probably going to be a lengthy event.
Well, I guess I'm hoping because I like to try to figure things out and understand things. I'm like, because I hear a lot of people, they will just default it, well, it's COVID, then there's not free money anymore. I'm like, there's something else, because every industry now is feeling it, whether it's haircutters or tattooers or landscapers, you know, everybody's feeling something. I'm like, well, okay, then what's the next thing? It's got to be the eggs are $12 and they used to be this. Okay, that makes sense. So in a way, I kind of want to pay attention to it and go, okay, I really want to see what's going on, and when it starts to change, my hope, I guess, is that we can go back to where there's just so much work that we can work as much as we want. But what do you think about that? Do you think that this is like, because I don't want to say that, oh, this is just tattooing's like, there's too many tattooers. Well, I mean, I do think that is a problem or an issue. What I always tell people too is like, we don't need more tattooers. We need more tattooers who care. And so now, like, are there too many tattooers? Yes. So then, you know, so now what? Okay, now we've got this problem.
Because there's also an unprecedented amount of people getting tattooed, right? Like, that hasn't gone down. That's continued to go up. But also so have the tattooers. So where does that supply and demand issue settle itself? Because that's another, like, that's basically what it is. And does it settle itself because, like, eggs are $12, rent is skyrocketing, everything. There's the kids that are showing up that are genius tattooers are charging way more than everybody else. Like, is that the problem? Do the rest of us need to just be like, you know what, supply and demand? stop charging so fucking much.
Right.
Like, does that help you get busy?
Yeah.
And then there's the argument, like, are you cheapening my art? Like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's a business. I'm still going to make money. My
Sure.
client's going to leave happy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away for free.
Right.
But I'm not going to charge.
I'm not going to charge $200 an
amount.
hour. Or
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know. No disrespect to anybody who's
Yeah,
charging
like,
that.
I mean, yeah, there's always, every region's different. They charge
Yeah.
way more in New York City, but also rent and everything. But still, wherever you're at,
Yeah.
you need to reevaluate that. And it ain't a permanent change.
Sure.
Or maybe it is. Maybe it is
Yeah.
permanently. Like, maybe we thought too much of ourselves. And now that there's so much and everyone, maybe you need to rein it in a little bit, or be okay with sitting here on a Wednesday and not tattooing it all.
Well, one thing I thought is that, you know, we went from this period of time where you didn't have to market. It was just, it flooded in.
Yeah,
so,
you could pick and choose. You
so
could be like,
now-
nah, I don't do those.
So now we're back to maybe, you know, back to those days where maybe you were just a new tattooer and you were just trying to get your name out there. So you had to do stuff like leave a business card at the restaurant or, you know,
Talk to everybody.
Do the groundwork.
If you see a tattoo on someone at the grocery store when you're checking out, like, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
I still do that. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But is that still necessary? I don't know any other way to do it. That's what I do. So, but you'd have to talk to one of the kids the ones that everybody knows, that has 30,000 followers, that tattoos all the time, that does it what appears to be exclusively off of social media.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true at all, but to me it seems like what you're doing. Let's start with the social media dude, whatever who you're talking about. He may be getting these clients or getting these Garfield tattoos out, but is he giving the same person 10 Garfield tattoos? You know what I mean? Where you got people like your dude who came in yesterday. He's like, yeah, dude, did my whole leg. Look,
they tattooed me for like 8 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that, like, I don't know.
Well, I think
is there a longevity to it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like building that relationship, like it's just like it's gonna go further.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like Instagram, I built my career on Instagram too.
Sure.
Like 90% of my clients come from Instagram.
I think it's funny. I don't know if you pay attention to this or not, but you know, some of these better maybe tattoo social media accounts that just showcase good tattoos.
You can say tattoo snob and like
Okay.
shit like that. Like we know what you're talking about. Those guys are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But I remember the days back in like 08, 09 where I got on Tattoo Snob. And I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah. You cared about it. Yeah.
But
like getting in a magazine.
But now you go to the people who are tagged, 30,000 followers, 17,000 followers. It's like, okay, so is this what matters now? And not because you're doing badass tattoos that deserve to be on there. I don't know how many followers you have. Maybe you have
15,000. Yeah, like 15.1 or something like that.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. It must be nice. That was a fucking grind.
Yeah.
But yeah, like or is that a result of what we all know is the algorithm?
Yeah.
Because if you like Tattoo Snobs in that, like there's 7 billion fucking, or not that many, but like a shitload of unique daily Instagram users.
Yeah.
Way more tattooers, which we just talked about.
Right.
Is Tattoo Snob not just seeing it?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can tag them, you can DM it to them.
Yeah.
But I know my DMs are a mess. They have 500,000 plus followers. Their DMs are a fucking train wreck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Right.
And back in the day, if you wanted to get in a magazine, you'd print out 5x7s, put them in a envelope, mail them out every month. Like Greg was telling me at the shop he worked at, they had a guy that worked there that every week would put together a package of all the tattooer stuff and mail it out.
Yeah.
So every monthly issue of different tattoo magazines, there'd be at least one person from that shop in them.
Sure.
Constantly. So everybody started figuring out what it was. Does it take that kind of legwork to get on those? Because back in 08, not as many. Easier to see you.
Yeah.
Now they're just like, I don't know how to fucking post.
We can't even.
Like they've randomly posted some of mine. Like they posted
cool.
the flyer for the grand opening party.
Nice.
Like so they see it. Like I was involved in they did an auction. I forget what it was for. But you just donated something, and then whoever bought it, you were responsible for mailing it to them.
Okay.
Putting a little package together.
That's cool.
I don't even know. Like I know what flash sheet it was. It was a bunch of grills.
Yeah.
So I sold it. Some guy in Iowa bought it, mailed it to him with a bunch of stuff. I don't
Awesome.
remember. It was I think it was this time of year, some kind of holiday fundraiser.
Yeah. Huh.
But they definitely, like, through my COVID t-shirt explosion, they were involved in that. They like shared a bunch of it. I don't know how they found me.
Yeah.
I don't even really know who they are. I know they're in Cincinnati, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
It's not like I've had conversations.
I think
with
I
them.
may have seen one of the guys from it.
I
I don't know.
I've always kind of thought it was a guy and a girl.
I
They're
know
not
it used to be
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
But I don't know if the girl's a part of it. Yeah, I mean they're kind of very elusive.
Yeah,
for sure. Which is cool. But
yeah, I mean, and it did always, like, it was something to be
Yeah.
on there at one point, and I think
Yeah.
it still kind of is. Like, I get kind of excited,
Oh, absolutely.
but it definitely, like, they got a shitload of noise they got to weed through too. It'd be interesting to, like, their perspective on, because there's that they don't actually really make money. They don't make money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the influencers can make money, but you kind of got to sell out to do that. They're just making posts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they could try to, like, even if they did, we're like, we're going to sell some merch. Like, you don't get rich on t-shirts.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it'd be interesting to hear their take on, because they're like,
It would
during
be.
the gold rush, people that made the most money were people making pickaxes and shovels.
Sure.
Because people would come through and everybody needed pickaxe and shovel. Not everybody found gold.
Yeah.
Everybody had pickaxe and shovel.
Uh-huh.
They're similar to that, but they don't sell anything.
Yeah.
But they're there with it for the ride, watching
Mhm.
this tattoo issue from an outsider perspective, but also being actively involved.
It's like
What was their day-to-day like in 2008 when they were just like, fucking everybody wanted to be on it? They were cool
Yeah.
as shit. Now there's 100 tattoo snobs we don't even know about that have more followers, that have their own little pocket of the internet that people pay attention to.
Sure. Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, there was always that old man tattooer idea that, like, there's dudes out there busy every single day, don't even have an Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, there's people out on Instagram crushing it that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Instagram is a deep place.
Yeah.
And it's very fine-tuned to what you see.
Right.
But there's people I follow that I love. That
Yeah.
are great people. I know them very well.
Yeah.
And I don't see them on Instagram because it just doesn't show it to you. Because
Huh.
my algorithm's like, oh, you're into titties and Nikes right now.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to show you.
Right.
And then eventually, like 6 months later, it'll be like, oh, you really like assault rifles right now? Here's a bunch of those.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, like, my wife, I rarely see her posts, or my
Mm.
sister, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't interact with them enough. So
Hmm.
the computer's going to just put my eyeballs on tits and assault rifles. Like, cool.
Right.
I mean, those are fun too, but
Yeah.
like, we're dealing with that.
But that's like so then what? So
No
now
good
what do
tits, I guess.
now what do we But
Jesse
that doesn't pay.
knows.
I mean, that might pay your bills, but you
makes
know,
it fun.
right.
Yeah, what? Like, I mean, that's the $1 million question.
And maybe it's just wait. I don't know.
Yeah, like, hopefully do the right thing enough, because there's.
Yeah.
I mean, then you
Yeah.
get into the whole, like, call it karma, call it just do the right thing,
Yeah.
do the right thing next, do the next right thing. But what I affectionately refer to as the tattoo gods,
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, if you treat tattooing right, it
Yeah.
will treat you right. If you
Yeah.
take care of tattooing, it will take care of you.
Yeah.
So if you show up every day and you treat everyone that takes the time to come to your
Sure.
shop correctly, you treat the people you work with correctly,
Yeah.
and you value what tattooing has done to your life,
Mm-hmm.
it will take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
So keep doing that. Keep your head down. Talk some shit every once in a while.
Of course.
Just keep doing what you know has gotten you to where you are now.
Yeah.
And as we come out the other side of this, whenever it is,
Yeah.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe it never really ends,
Mm-hmm.
but it keeps you protected enough in this, like, magical world that we live in, that you'll
Mhm.
come out the other end and will have done enough in your time to provide for yourself and your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Maybe make some people remember you, but even then, who really gives a fuck?
Right.
If you can get to the end
Mm-hmm.
and have taken care of yourself and your family and the people you love,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And you don't die an embarrassing death because you had nothing saved up,
Yeah.
which, as a tattooer, is a real possibility.
Right.
We might just have to tattoo until, like I said, my hands are just like this. And then hopefully AI and the robots have taken over everything and there's just universal income and we don't have to work anymore.
So okay, let's go down that road because I am an old person, and when people started drawing on the iPad and Procreate, was talking shit about it. Like that's
there's 20 minutes of a podcast that I did with my buddy of me just ripping iPads apart.
yeah,
I can't operate without it anymore.
right? Because then it's like, dude, let me see that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
When you're drawing on paper and you do this.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
We talked about that a couple days ago. Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the worst though. When you try to do this, it don't go backwards.
So for
It's on that motherfucker.
For some weird reason though, like I've just jumped on this whole thing. I was talking shit about Teslas. Now I have one.
You got a Tesla now?
And dude,
Sick. Which one?
Model 3.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we got this rental car. It's a whatever Malibu, dude.
Yeah.
how
Got
many
to put
times-
real gas in that piece of shit?
Yeah. So I didn't, because I got to have a key. I got to push the button. And there's been like
It just doesn't know you're in it.
every single time we get out, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to turn this damn thing off.
I do that in my wife's car all the time.
So anyhow, and I love the Tesla Optimus. Like I want one, maybe two. The robot, bipedal robot.
Yeah,
I think they're
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But I ran across this dude on Instagram one time, and he was just putting out some incredible AI, like monsters. I'm like, what is that? So then went down the rabbit hole of Midjourney, and I absolutely love AI. So, obviously started tattooing like 07, where it was like, do you trace or do you use reference?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What was
And
that
like,
fucking Instagram
oh, no, you
call it,
just-
like Trace Masters or whatever?
you do trace the
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Bernard
yeah.
Hogarth.
There was a
books.
fucking whole crusade against tracing.
Yeah.
Like they tried to call everybody out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Trace Master. I
Yeah,
love
it's the best.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I
That
was
shit
like,
fun.
yeah.
Like, dude, they're just talking shit to him right on there, dude. They just posted that shit right on the internet.
And then they felt bad.
yeah.
We're gonna stop doing this. No,
Pussies. Yeah,
keep
fucking-
it going.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Internet bullying's the best.
But then we all have used Google for our references, and
it's the shop wall now. You just go and pick
Mhm.
shit off the wall.
Yeah.
If you don't think that exists anymore, you pay a little more attention because people walk in, they're like, I want this.
Mhm.
It's just like if it was right here.
yeah.
And they were like, I want that.
So the
wall
reason-
is just worldwide big now.
So I've totally adopted AI in my reference. Like I'm not
Okay.
gonna Google Rose anymore. I'm gonna AI Rose, because it's going to pull from all these images and produce hopefully something that's different than the same exact rose that's three roses in on our Google search that we've all used.
Yeah, we should
8
just go to
times
page
before.
7.
Yeah.
That'll change it.
Yeah. Well, and then what's funny too is you see yourself like, oh, that one's cool. Oh wait, I already looked at that one. Like I thought it was cool back then too. 3 pages
Still kick
ago.
ass.
So yeah, but I know that's still, and I'm never ahead of the curve on anything, and I'm not trying to spout off that I am, but I know that like maybe for once, like I'm adopting this technology at the time that it's coming out instead of like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because I do hear and see
Yeah.
a lot of tattooers, and I get it for sure, but I'm like, that's too late. Fuck, cat's out of the bag.
Yep.
It's not going back in ever.
Nope.
So
Everywhere in our
we
lives.
gotta
too.
kind of have to.
Yeah.
You can either use it or not,
Or do you try to be the Gunther Tooties of tattooing and create a place that people want to go back in time to?
yeah,
And is that a viable option?
right.
Like, do you get, it's like someone like the Teslas, the self-driving cars,
Mhm.
when we're 65,
Yeah.
will be everywhere.
Oh,
You can't
right.
stop it. It's
Yeah.
a runaway
Mhm.
train.
Yes.
You will get fined if you drive a gas-powered vehicle.
And I will say though, there's nothing like a rat rod that's loud as shit.
Yeah.
You know, and
Smells
just
like
looks
gasoline.
nasty.
Yeah, like you sit in a seat and you can like shake from it.
Yeah. In fact, you just don't even want to drive the
Yeah.
damn thing because it's like driving a tank.
It's gonna
Right.
die a mile away from your house. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
solve the problem.
Yeah,
but
figure
that
it
mile is gonna be super fucking
Yeah,
cool.
and you're gonna look awesome in it.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I hold both of those for sure. You know, like if it's something like I want, you know, like a Valkyrie. All right, I'm gonna probably run that through AI because it's probably gonna come out with cooler ideas, or at least spark some ideas in my brain. But if you want, like, you know, something else that I'm very comfortable drawing, I'm gonna enjoy drawing that.
Yeah.
Because I don't even want to go over there for that because I have fun drawing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it does typically have like traditional-esque bones to it, but I do look at stuff all around me and I'm like, dude, I want to figure out how to draw that way.
Yeah.
And then you just try to draw that tree that way, and you're hating it all along, but it's like, at least I'm trying something different. It's all out of my head.
Well, who knows? Like maybe it goes back to that tattoo artist, tattooer conversation, right? So in order to be successful with that AI generated art, you have to be a craftsman who can apply it to human skin properly.
Yep.
So there will be combinations of people that know how to operate the AI and tattoo it better than anybody else. Will it weed out the people that like, or do we all kind of slowly return to just that craftsman? But also, the only way that happens is if the consumer becomes informed enough that they can pick that, right? Like there'll be tattooers out there, that are like, cool, I just typed in and it just drew it for me. Hell yeah. Then they tattoo it like dog shit. Cool. There'll only be a few of them that can actually operate the AI and execute the tattoo correctly.
So I don't know if
until consumers are like, hey, I brought this, I did it, I want this. And then now we become, I just have to apply it. Can you do that?
Right. Yeah. And should you be, because dude, absolutely. Taking, like, I'm doing this zombie sleeve and all the references are from AI because I can Google zombies. It's all going to pull up Walking Dead bullshit that everybody's seen. And that's what I don't want. I don't want anything that anybody's seen. But then obviously I have to keep running these prompts to be like, that one I don't like how that's not going to fit the body this way. And, obviously I kind of know what I'm looking for. And I'll admit, I'm just not talented enough to draw something that looks incredible like that, but I can replicate that in a tattoo. So I know how to follow this little pattern. One of the most mind-blowing artists, actually 2 of them, is Tom Schramm. Like, that dude, I mean, he can do anything. And it look absolutely insane, and just everybody wants to be able to do that. I don't have that. So then, maybe I need some help. Maybe it's Google or whatever.
Well, and I've seen like the reference for that zombie sleeve he's working on, and just even like the light sources from the ones that you picked. It's like, I would have never ever thought of that. It's so cool. Just like, just get your brain going.
And then it's, it's kind of like, I don't know, modern day Flash. Like, I remember I've worked in a Flash shop before too, a street shop, and it's like, cool, you want that green dragon? All I have to do is copy those colors. That's pretty sweet. Like, that's a nice chill day.
We've gone back, like, you were just a tattooer. You were a craftsman. Just apply it as best you can, exactly like that. Saturation, line work, all this stuff. But even back then, like, no one paid attention to that, so it didn't really matter. Did it look close enough to the dragon? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely get, like, I've come across, I've been in these periods of time in my life where I've been getting tattooed over the last 10 years. These dudes, they don't trace anything. They don't, they'll look at a book, close it, and then just draw this masterpiece. And I want to do that. And I just think, so I've gone from like, you got to draw absolutely everything, to like, no, it's okay to trace part of it, to no, it's okay to just trace all of it. Back to like, no, I gotta struggle to like draw it all. And even if I don't think it's good enough, I'll reschedule my appointment because it's like, it's not there yet, dude. It's just not there yet. I can do better. So it's kind of had this whole like weird struggle of which I guess is kind of fun rather than just like.
Well, and I think the fact that you just pay attention to it means you give a shit.
Right.
Like, there's other people that just choose one way and just go. And I think there's technology is too accessible nowadays to not kind of be a weird like amalgamation of all of it. It's too accessible. Like, there's a tattooer, I think he's in San Francisco, Austin Maples. Just does primarily like black traditional. It looks really great. And he's got a whole, I think he might even sell a how to tattoo program. But he'll put videos of, he does mostly back pieces at this point, but you'll see like a fucking portrait of Jesus and then fucking trace it. Like, fucking, that's how I did it, but I made it look like a traditional tattoo.
Cool.
He's real open about it. Like, just here it is. Like, oh, I put castles here. Here's castles. They're like a real picture of a castle, but then you take it out and it's a traditional version of it right over the top.
Very cool.
And I do shit like that all the time. Like, if I need to do, I can spend 45 minutes to an hour,
Right.
fucking getting the football helmet the right
Struggling
shape.
it out.
Or I can just fucking put a football helmet on there and take the outline of it.
Yeah.
Then you take it away, and what I drew definitely doesn't look like a real picture of a football helmet.
Right.
So break that down,
But
because I think there's something in that. And the dude that I've gotten tattooed by back home, I've seen him. Yeah, he's gonna tattoo somebody's dog, but he's like heavy traditional. So what's your like recipe to, like, if you're gonna trace a football helmet, what are you leaving in, or what are you putting into it, and what are you leaving out of it to make it look like your style?
That's a hard thing to.
Is it?
Yeah, I've talked to Jesse about this, like, because he wants to learn, like all of us do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. And I think that goes back to the beginning when I was talking about. I didn't draw for 10 years. All I've ever drawn is draw tattoo stuff. So it's just kind of naturally developed. And I wish I could, like, I should probably start to try to figure it out. Maybe I think I've never had an apprentice. I don't think I'm ready for an apprentice. But if I had an apprentice, it would force me to kind of dig a little deeper and figure out why. Because I also am the one that, like, some people are like, yeah, like tattoos, like, our traditional tattoos are real simple. That's easy. Anybody can do it. Like, no, they can't.
Right.
Like, it's hard as shit. Like, some people really struggle with it. If you ask Nico Hurtado to draw a traditional panther, it's going to look fucking retarded.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to tattoo a color portrait of Denzel Washington, it's going to look fucking retarded.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely, and I it's hard to know, like, which ones to leave out, which ones, like, or what choice to make. Like yesterday, the football helmet. When I was first getting the shape and everything, the face mask was just one solid line. Just get that. Then it was like, well, it needs to be blue. If I line it in blue, it's going to get lost in everything else. So now I'm going to double line it with a tiny line and have that contrast of line weight help it pop, but also make it so I can make it blue.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of buckles and straps. Like, there was a lot of shit that gets in the way.
Yeah.
Like, so that got left out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and other than it gets in the way. Maybe.
Well, and it could be just some weird baked in, kind of deep rooted thing that you're just like, I don't really know. Like, I think these guys ask me stuff. I'm like, I'll be doing something, be tattooing. I'm like, what are you doing there? I'm like,
tattooing, dude.
I could not tell you why I just did that, but it just works.
Maybe it could just be like 12 years of trying to make it easier to tattoo it. Like, there was a big chunk of my career. Like, now if I need to do a big ass circle, zero hesitation, not afraid. But there was a chunk, if I needed to do a circle, I wasn't going to do it. I was going to put something in front of it.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a
break
compass,
it up.
It ain't a fucking, it ain't three circles
This
inside
thing's
of each
gonna
other.
have cracks
There's
in it.
leaves right here now, so that I can stop and start as many times as I want. I might even put a leaf here because I don't want to do it that many ways.
Yeah.
You do that for 12 years,
sure.
Eventually, it's kind of naturally simplified itself.
Yeah.
To where I've made it so that it's easier to tattoo it. What that entails,
right?
A whole lot of shit.
I wonder too if, like, going back to what you were saying about how you studied, like, Sailor Jerry and Grimm and stuff, where you spend so much time on that, where it's just like in your head when you're going to something like that, where, like, you study that and it's simple but it's solid and it's good, where it's just like it clicks. It's not even you think about it, you just out of habit. You just know you know the recipe almost.
And
well, and honestly, it could just come down to, like, which kind of frustrates me too sometimes. It's like, it could just be your gift. Like, going back to Scotty Munster, I'm like, dude, I don't know many people who are replicating or who can. That is very much a gift. And Brandon Holt, who I have been fortunate enough to get to know and get tattooed by, like, that dude he's on another world.
I always use the example of, like, when we were in, like, middle school and high school and you took drawing classes. There was, every class had a kid that when he drew, it just looked like a comic book. Like, I don't know if it's because he consumed so many comic books or if he just had Stan Lee genes, but they just drew comic book shit. This kid in my class was named Mikey Treelock. Anything he drew looked like a comic book. And that translates to other things too. There's a kid in town here that he's a young kid. Let's see, 22, 23, Jacob? Like 24, 25, but a kid. And he's been around tattooing now for a few years, three or 4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And when he draws, it just looks like a traditional tattoo. He showed up to the shop looking for an apprenticeship with piles of tattoo flash that he'd already painted that was better than dudes that had been tattooing 20 years.
Wow.
And it was just in there. Like,
Sure.
however, like if you were like, don't look at anything.
Yeah.
Draw a girl smoking a cigarette. It just looked like a fucking tattoo already. And it was,
Very cool.
did he just consume at an aggressive rate tattoo imagery so much that he just Rain Manned it into his head?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, was that, but it just comes out that way. And
Sure.
Scotty's the same way. Like,
Yeah.
like draw this. And the man, obviously now he's done it for
Right.
20 years, so it's
Right.
going to come out that way automatically
Mhm.
every time.
Mm-hmm.
But when he started, it was already kind of there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And who knows? Like, is it just a genetic gift
Right. I don't know. I think so. I think that's part that.
that just naturally was fine tuned over a
Just
lifetime of
repetition.
doing it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you figured out how to use the tool, because that's the hardest
Mhm.
part.
Mhm.
Like he could probably marker and color pencil some pretty wild shit when he was 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't until like you just got to figure out how to put it in the skin.
Yeah.
You'll figure it. And then now that marker and colored pencil comes back and it's all been there the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah. Mine was not there. I needed to fuck up a lot of tattoos first. There's some wild ones out there.
Do you think you'll kind of forever stay in this vein of traditional tattooing, or do you
Yeah.
want to?
I mean, like a traditional based.
Yeah.
Like I think what I see is the natural progression of a traditional tattooer is one day you'll just be like, that's all I want to do is Japanese.
Yeah.
I've seen it
True.
hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Every old man tattooer I know did a bunch of traditional tattoos and was like, now I do Japanese.
Mhm.
Right.
But
'Cause
they
it's-
still are so closely tied in terms
Right.
of tattoo fundamentals. It's
Very-
still hard black outlines.
Mhm.
There's a background, foreground. It
Mhm.
basically just takes the patchwork sleeve look and like makes it a little more cohesive.
Sure.
Mhm.
Like cool. And it's still like traditional tattooing, there's 20 primary images that you
Yeah.
get real good at and have a good
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Same with Japanese.
Sure.
You get 20 real solid onis and koi
Mhm.
fish down, like you can live a good life. You know how to draw a dragon head? Cool.
Right.
Like the fundamentals are there.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you can like, I can draw a dragon head just as easy as I can draw a rose now. Like
Mhm.
I've got the fundamentals down. I've got the 5 basic animals. I've got
Mhm.
the camel. I've got the deer. I've got the snake. I've got the eagle. I
Mhm.
know how to make a dragon out of it.
Yeah.
And then you just do that for a while. I could see that happening. And then you can do it larger scale.
Yeah.
Makes it a little easier to do a sleeve. And
Mm.
like, cool, what are you doing today? Well, now I just have one tattoo today.
Yeah.
I charge
It's all the same.
$1,200 and I hang out
Yeah.
instead of doing $300-$400 tattoos, drawing each one,
Yep.
like busting my ass 1030, 236 till I hurt.
Mhm.
Instead, I just get to hang out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's
Focus on this one.
a natural way to get to.
Uh-huh.
Do I want to do that? Not right now. Will I
Right.
want to? Maybe.
Sure.
I'm definitely never going to do realism ever because I suck at it. Like even when I was just doing art, not tattooing, I can't look at something and make it look exactly like it looks. I don't, it's
Yeah.
never, my brain doesn't function that way. That
Sure.
gift, like there's
Sure.
some dudes that can just make it look exactly like it. I
Yeah.
don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's going to always kind of have a cartoon spin to it.
Yeah.
So that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Definitely. Obviously, there's a huge place for it in tattooing. And
I mean, who knows? Like maybe one day no one will want traditional tattoos anymore,
yeah, I don't know. I think that would have probably already happened by now.
right?
Mhm.
You know, I really hope that people aren't going to want ignorant style tattoos anymore someday, any day.
Any time now. Yeah.
Hey.
Well, and that's just I hate to keep. I mean, COVID had a dramatic impact on the entire world,
Mm-hmm.
but on our world specifically, a lot. Like there was both negative and positive.
Mm-hmm.
The gig economy shut down. There's a bunch
Yes.
of people like, what do we do now? Barbers. I'll just be a barber now. I
Yeah.
can just cut hair. I can just tattoo now. Fuck it. I got
Yeah.
time. Supplies are readily available. The
I'll
lessons are online.
That's a good point. I can just order it. I don't have to leave my house. I can just
Mhm.
order it.
Yep.
Okay, so then that's something I guess I never thought about. Do you think in that time that's where just a lot of tattooers were
1,000%.
I've heard quite
Yeah.
a few people. I feel like that
Came
they
from
were-
that
they were
Petri
good at
dish?
it.
Yeah. That's where Jeremy came from. Kid at Marion Street. The tattoo's better than most of them there.
just
Like you can't bar back. Bar's closed.
Mhm.
You got an art degree. What are you going to do? I can tattoo people in my house. Like fucking, I got time.
Yeah.
I'm on like the same unemployment money that made us busy
Sure.
created tattooers. And like, so I've been actively involved in large scale Friday the 13th tattoo events since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
500, 600, 700 tattoos at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The last one I did was in March of last year, 2023. Maybe this year even. 2020, yeah, this year. So there was a March, a September, and a December. There's 3 this year.
Sure.
And in March, it was the first one we'd done since COVID. COVID's happened right when it was supposed to be on March 13th, 2021. Shut it down. We never did one again until this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw more tattoos, like 30 to 40 different people with tattoos that were like, where'd you get that? And it looked like a piece of shit. I was like, oh, my friend did it. My friend did it like they were all at-home tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't normal at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people that I don't think have necessarily been intimately involved in large-scale Friday the 13th events assume that like people are building sleeves out of Friday the 13th tattoos. Motherfuckers are building it out of their own kitchen now. Like, and it's shockingly common.
Yeah.
Like, and if you haven't experienced that, you think it is. Like, you're like, oh man, everybody's doing it. But then to see that in person, it was just like, by the end of the day, I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Everybody had one.
Sure.
And it was all 2020. It was all like, during COVID, like my buddy got a machine. I got a machine.
Mm-hmm.
We did them on each other.
Wow.
Which for me, there's a real tribalness to tattooing.
Yeah, agreed.
That I think is pretty fucking incredible.
Yes.
And we did it when we opened this place. Me and Jesse tattooed each other, and my buddy Adam was involved, and we tattooed him, and he tattooed us. And there's something to that like, it's an intimate connection that we're fortunate enough that we get to have it with strangers every day.
Yeah.
But to have like a really close friend that you're like, I'll let you tattoo me.
Yeah.
Is it going to look like total dog shit? Probably.
Yeah.
But every day when I look at it, I'm going to think of you.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's something that's pretty incredible that I think a lot of people felt, especially at a time when the world was literally burning down in front of us.
Yeah.
Like look at the kids. Like, think about how you would have acted during COVID if you were like 23, 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
I would have fucking burned everything down too.
Sure.
Like, let's just all move in together and do all the drugs and drink and fucking tattoo each other and not listen to any of the rules.
Right.
That would have been a fucking blast.
Yeah.
Instead, I was in a condo with a child and was like 37 and was like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, that's who we're seeing, because the volume was a lot, and some of them kept doing it.
Yeah.
And got good at it.
Yeah.
Good enough that they're impacting an entire industry. Which I don't really like calling it an industry, but
yeah, I don't know. I think that word rolls off my tongue very easy, industry. But then I know I hear other dudes are like, it's not a fucking industry. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry.
It's a lifestyle. That also pisses me off.
Yeah.
This is fucking lifestyle. Like, no, shut the fuck up, dude. We're just drawing pictures on people. Stop taking it so serious.
Yeah.
I live this shit. Like, all right, cool. Your wife probably hates you.
Yeah. You probably don't even have a wife.
It's all right. Yeah. My wife hates me too. It's fine.
So how did you come up with the name Golden Pony? What is that? Where does that come from?
Tattoo shops. A lot of them have colors and images, like Black Dagger, Red Rose, Black Anvil. So I knew I wanted that combo.
Nice.
Because I'm coming from Marion Street. It was on Marion Street, just like Smith Street, just like Birch Avenue in Tucson. Like there's a thing. And I was like, maybe I could do that, but Reservoir Road tattoo, kind of lame.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do color image, and I always like gold. Like I have a gold wedding ring. Like I just like yellow gold.
Yeah.
So golden was where I was aiming.
Cool.
But you have to be real careful where that goes, because golden dragon, Chinese food.
Oh,
like golden tiger, probably Chinese food.
Yeah.
So
or a dojo.
Yeah, or a dojo. Yeah, which actually right across the street might be Golden Tiger. It just says martial arts, but I think if I found out the real name, it's probably Golden Tiger.
Yeah.
But and Golden Pony, it was like probably 6 months ago, way before, because we're about 3 months in. It was, So I had a note in my phone of just kind of like the brainstorming.
Yeah.
And you'd even have that conversation amongst each other in the tattoo shop, like what would be a good tattoo shop name? Because there's trends in it. Like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had to have like skin or ink, like ink slingers and shit.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
back in the Yellow
put
Pages
Z's in it
day,
instead of
did it
S's.
start with an A and a.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be at the top of the Yellow Pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
A1.
like triple A plumbing.
Yeah,
they're right in the front. Like there's a technique to it.
Uh-huh.
There's definitely like a trend where like canvas was in the name and shit
Yes.
like that. There's
Yeah.
definitely trends,
Sure.
and I liked that one. I liked the name and the thing. So I don't remember where it came from, but it was golden and then make a list of animals. But golden donkey doesn't really work. But pony, for some reason, I was just like, I like that. But
That
also,
rolls real nice.
I like Western imagery.
Mm.
My mom and dad both grew up in Arizona, so our house was covered in Southwestern art, like cowboys and Indians everywhere.
Sure. Oh,
My uncle, my dad's brother, painted a lot of pictures, like cowboys on horseback, and they were beautiful paintings, but they were all over our house.
Rad.
And I never really realized it. Like, there's that piece behind you. That's
This one?
8 years old,
Yeah.
and I always really liked drawing and painting that kind of stuff
Mm.
in a tattoo style, obviously.
Yeah.
So pony was like, oh, cool. Now I open it up to all of the different, like there's horseshoes on the window, like
Sure.
like there's horseshoes up on a lighted sign.
Yeah, yeah.
Just that kind of imagery becomes marketable now.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is
Yeah.
very cool.
And it kind of sounds like a strip club. Like it's could be gay, straight, whatever, just
Yeah.
naked people inside.
So you never know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Because the tattoo has been dropped pretty fast. Like just golden pony. The golden pony, like it flows really well.
Right.
I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Agreed. I
And
like
it,
it. I think it's really
yeah.
cool. I like
It worked out pretty good. The marketing's been fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Like to create a brand that's I'm hoping stays the same.
Sure.
Yeah, I was one thing about where I was at before is it was constantly like changing.
Oh yeah.
Different
yeah.
business cards all the time, different T-shirts, which is very tattoo shoppy.
Sure.
Like, I get that, but so I want to create some uniformity though. Like
Mhm.
we'll always have the same shirt in stock all the time forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
cool.
just like so people recognize it and they know. Like you don't even really got to think about it.
Yeah.
So we have basically two logos: the one that's the sign and the one that's the rug, or on the door, and that'll just always be around.
Cool.
Like, always have those stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know any shops that have been that way, where the logo becomes recognizable enough that like, oh, it's been that way forever.
Right.
Like that's just even the shop in town where the dude's got 5 shops and 60 artists working for him and is trying to create like a tattoo empire. He's got like a C with a crown on it, but it's not around enough that I totally recognize it. But he's at least been one of the first ones to kind of pay attention to branding.
Sure.
Took him a while to get there though.
Yeah.
Which sounds super lame. Almost used a cancelable term there, right? Like it's, to like talk about it that way as like a business, but that's just my background is that. Like before I started tattooing, it was that.
Yeah.
Which I always brought that to Marion Street, but always held a little bit back because I didn't want to just here's everything. Like, because at some point I knew I wanted to do it myself. I think not from the jump, but eventually it was like, why work this hard?
Yeah.
When I'm not getting all of it in return.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now I get to, which is really fun, and I get to share it with other people. Like I get to do everything, take the good and do that, and get rid of the bad.
Yeah.
And how not to do it, I think was a lot of people don't realize you're learning that at the same time.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully you've learned and are executing those things.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm definitely. I talk a lot. Jesse knows. So I try to share as much as possible so they at least know.
Bring it up to me. Let me know.
Like,
What is there something I could do better?
And if your idea sucks, I'll tell you your idea sucks, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important though to have people around you that tell you ideas suck, or you know what I mean.
Jesse
Like,
doesn't do that. I think Jesse's afraid of me. Yeah, dude, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, man, I dig it.
I was afraid of Jesse a couple nights ago. He fucking creeped in the door. All fucking just stood there, and I was like, "What's up, man?" And then I realized it was him. I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna get him back one day."
Where's my baseball bat?
We're bringing pranks back in 2025.
Good deal.
Yeah. Oh, I don't need a baseball bat. I still keep it OG. It's right here. This is my baseball bat.
Yeah,
There
buddy.
you go.
I got one of those in my drawer too.
Yeah. Everybody has one somewhere,
Cool.
which we both came from, or I think all of us came from somewhere, but me and Jesse specifically came from places that were way different than here. Like I was on Colfax Avenue, which is insane, for 9 years. Like there's all kinds of shit that happens on Colfax.
Really?
Like it wasn't as intense as I think tattoo shops were in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But every day there was maybe something weird was going to happen. And a lot of times it did.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to, like, I left the shop alone at night every single night. So I definitely had to like pay attention to it. But now we're out here.
Yeah.
It's so calm. But
Yeah.
he came from a similar environment that like wild shit happened.
Sure.
And you had to be ready for it.
Yeah, dude.
Here, like we still like are anxious and like that much time in that kind of environment, especially because it's a tattoo shop. It's a wild fucking place.
Sure.
At least they should be, I think.
Yeah.
We're out here and we're kind of anxious and like paying attention.
I don't know, man.
Really need to. Like,
I think
unless Jesse's creeping in the fucking door.
if you're running a credit card or debit card, it's not as crazy as it used to be.
I don't got a card reader. I just got Venmo and Zelle.
Nice. Yeah.
No card reader yet. we take digital payments though in Bitcoin.
Pretty soon we'll take crypto, right?
Yeah.
We're super punk rock.
What's your favorite part of tattooing?
There's no HR department.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want to say. I am the HR department, which is hilarious. I was the HR department at Marion Street too. We made that joke all the time because I say some real inappropriate shit. But it's a safe. It's gonna sound super lame, but it's a safe space in that not that like you can be offended and you have to be okay with it. At least in my shop.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that too. Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like,
and we're not gonna necessarily be like stand-up comedians. Like I know the difference. Like I'm
Yeah.
not on stage. I'm not gonna like Shane Gillis just gets to say different shit than me because he's doing that. And I think some people miss that a little bit. But know your audience and still like at the same time like you're in a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
There's no fucking rules.
Right.
Like, there's zero rules.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Like there's not many places like that exist anymore outside of like bars.
Yeah.
And bars are gonna bring their own kind of issues because there's mind-altering things involved. Like here, it's still in its purest form.
There's some clarity.
Like relatively sober adults
Mm-hmm.
hanging out doing adult shit,
Right.
which is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where else you can find that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Maybe a shrimping boat.
Yeah, like that kind of shit.
Maybe like a
construction site.
Shark fishing.
Yeah, but even then though, like you
Shark
gotta
fin
you gotta
harvesting?
work all hard. Like lift heavy shit. Yeah,
Where
And
it's
there is HR.
Gotta be outside.
There is
kinda.
HR on a
I don't
construction site.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. They
risk-
they don't
you
want
risk
all the
dying in
workers
the
to get
ocean.
found, so they stay pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But here, yeah, like you get to sit in a chair, draw pictures.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Yeah. Say words you're not allowed to say other places really loudly.
Yeah.
Hey, you just get to do whatever you want. But, well, I guess not whatever you want because I have to wear pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to, but it works out better that way.
It's after hours.
Yeah, true. We didn't have pants on that one day. Yeah. We definitely didn't have. Close the door. What's rule number 1? Close the door.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Cool.
that's and I think like knowing that you're part of something significantly larger than you, and not larger than you in this very moment, larger than you in the thousands of years that some wild ass dude was like, scratch me with that and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then to have, like, I still remember the first time I saw somebody with a tattoo and it was like, dude, you're cooler than every motherfucker in here.
Mhm.
And why? I don't know. But I like, and it was my cousin Gary, who I've since tattooed, which is
That's
incredible.
awesome.
He had a rose on his leg. And when I saw it as a child, I don't know how old I was. I think we tried to figure out the math, maybe like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It was on his lower leg. And I thought that rose was this big, like fucking here to here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whole
huge.
leg.
And it was all my dad's brothers and sisters were at our house. And Gary had gotten it. And Gary had just gotten back from Desert Storm. And everybody was super interested in it. Like, oh my God. Everybody wanted to look at it. Like Gary was the center of attention.
Yeah.
I wanted that.
Yeah.
Like, that was fucking cool. Well, then fast forward lifetime later, Gary wants to get tattooed. So he comes out and I tell him that story. He shows me the rose. It's this fucking big.
No way.
The littlest rose you've ever seen. I have since redone the rose. Which
Okay.
is awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you probably couldn't even tell it
tattoo
was
that
a
I
rose.
very vividly
It's like a
remember.
full
like,
circle moment.
Yeah, full circle for
Yeah.
sure. And Gary loved the story. When I started asking him about the rose, because I didn't ask him when I was 8.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure he got it. Like, no, he got it in a basement in Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah, his brother had a buddy that was doing tattoos, which this is probably 1994, 1992 maybe.
Sure.
And he picked it out of a book, and some dude just did it on his leg in the basement. And he was like, because it's old now, right? The tattoo's
yeah.
30-something years old. I'm like,
Sure.
yeah, like it looks like an old tattoo. Maybe that's why it looks like shit. He's like, no, it always looked like shit. Like I didn't know that. Like when my uncles and stuff were looking at it, they were looking at it because it looked like shit. Like, they were just like, what the fuck is that? Like, not like, and I'm thinking like, dude, like, look how cool everybody thinks Gary is. No, they all think Gary's an idiot. That's how they're looking at it. But I'm like, yeah, dude, that guy rules.
That's awesome.
And that was the
Be like Gary.
Yeah, and now I've tattooed Gary a bunch. He's trying to get
That's
out here to
cool.
see the new shop. But yeah, he that was the like I love that I remember that.
Yeah.
But then back to like just being able to just be a piece of just the wild group of people that are like I think having pictures on me like makes me look better than without them. And for me, the pictures were like an armor. Like I was always really just a huge pussy, just afraid of things and shy and like didn't like confrontation. And if I could make myself appear tougher than I actually was, it helped. And I felt a little more comfortable, a little more confident. So it started with 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then an immeasurable amount, who knows how many. Yeah. But it made me feel like people will at least, I can avoid any kind of confrontation or not that I didn't run into plenty of confrontation. Right. Like just a wild ass life, but it felt like armor, like legitimate armor. And I feel like even to be able to give that to people now, because I know there's people out there that feel that same way. They might not communicate it, but that for me, like at one point it was definitely like, you're going into battle, get tattooed.
Right.
Look scarier.
Right.
Look wilder. And that was a 2002 way for me to do it. I wasn't going into battle, but it made me feel more confident, like safer.
And there used to be war paint. So
and it changed like definitely after a while. It became more of like a tell my own story, like something happened, let's document it. And I've got some, I think like at this point now, roughly 30 different people have tattooed my right leg. Every single one of them has some kind of random shit attached to it. Sure. I mean, a lot of it's my tattoo life. Like got this one here by so-and-so in a hotel room. Yeah. Like just won a chili cook-off and got a chili here, like in the middle of the chili cook-off, like just shit like that. Like it's all my first tattoo on myself is right here. It's a pile of shit, but it is literally part of it.
It means something.
Yeah, it's right here. No, it's a dagger. It's a dagger with a heart.
It's a dagger going through a pile of shit.
Yeah, dagger going into a pile of shit because it's my leg. Like it's me. So yeah, but I was just setting up one day to fix it.
Okay.
I was like getting, and I've done 4 tattoos ever. So Ryan's definitely curious. Like, why are you setting? Like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm gonna fix this thing, and he was like, no, dude, leave it like that. So remember to never do that again.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Well, it's a story.
Yeah, so it still looks like there's a German flag like way up in there that I got in Germany, and then proceeded to go to Venice and propose to my now wife. Nice. And then fly home. So there's like got the tattoo. Left 12 hours later, traveled all across the world, so didn't take shit care of it. Like it was.
You sure?
Yeah, like half the tattoo's gone because it was just like flew home from Istanbul for 14 hours. Wow. But I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, doesn't matter what it looks like. Right? More of like a stamp of like, hey, remember that?
True.
Like, yeah, that was way cooler than the actual what it would have been a high quality German flag.
Right. Yeah.
And I know it was my fault that it ended up looking like shit, but it's my fault because of what proceeded afterwards, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Which I try to explain that to people when they get tattooed and they all come in with this, like, I need to have like just a heavy meaning on this.
Right.
Like, no, you don't.
Nope.
Just get it on a Tuesday and then let the meaning develop.
Sure.
Just realize like, oh, fast forward a decade because it's going to be there in a decade.
Right.
Hopefully, unless you get run over by a truck.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it'll be there in a decade. You've got like, when did you get that? Like, oh shit, like be it positive or negative.
Yeah.
Still just becomes a stamp. Like life's full of good things and bad things. Does it get connected to a bad thing? But also like the lessons that you learned from that and the calluses you came out the other side with that made you who you are. It'll get its own meaning. Being able to be a part of that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Weird fucking job. Weird job. Pretty much a made up job too.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a fucking job, dude. Like a bunch of people that want to get decorated.
Yeah.
Found people that wanted to decorate them.
Right.
And then decided to exchange currency for it. Yeah. Like, it could have just been like a club.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, we got a guy that on Tuesdays you can go get like he'll put some shit on you and he'll stay there forever. It's wild. But no, it turned into an actual a legitimate money-making career that you can like support families and shit with, which is just hilarious, dude. It's bananas.
It is pretty wild.
Which is why you got to take care of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be a thing. Like
true.
it should be like we're riding the horseback to fight these guys with spears. We need to look scary here, and it should have stopped there. Not like all these people that want to decorate themselves just as crazy as us. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it.
I think that's a good explanation.
What's the best way that people can reach you if anybody's watching to book appointments or consultations?
Homing pigeon.
All right.
Yeah. They usually know where to go. They'll find me.
Yeah.
It's Instagram, dude. The internet. Yeah.
What do they look for?
Nate Stevens tattoo or golden pony tattoo.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's right here in this box. Like and subscribe.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Nate.
man.
Yeah,
Thanks a
thank
lot,
you guys.
dude.
That was super fun.
Hell yeah.